Welcome to Bowland Street, the Bowland Street Mission, Bradford, West Yorkshire. This is the building that we've acquired in January of 2017, and we're in the middle of restoration. Above the doors, the double doors here, you'll see this is the Bowland Street Mission number 5. These are the original steps where Mary Jane, nicknamed Polly, after the service, on a Sunday service, apparently had a heart attack and she fell down dead on the steps. Smith Wigglesworth was at the local train station that day, about to go to Scotland, but they gave him notice that his wife had died, and they took her body to 70 Victoria Road. When Smith Wigglesworth arrived at the bedside, she was obviously pronounced dead. Smith Wigglesworth raised her back to life, and which Polly said, "Oh, Smith, let me go." He permitted for her to go to heaven, and she wanted to be with the Lord. And Smith carried on his ministry, but asked for a double anointing because he lost his wife, who he loved dearly. We've erected a scaffold in here to get to the windows and the guttering and the roof, and hopefully we can get on with this before the bad weather comes in this year. I'm standing in the Bowland Street Mission, as it's called, in Bradford, Yorkshire, and obviously it's still in much need of restoration and repairs. When we got hold of this building, it was back to bare stone and brick and mortar, and it was a huge undertaking, but I knew that I was to do this, and so with other people within my church who have abilities of electrical engineering, plastering and bricklaying, we have started to restore the building. The platform that you see here now is, as much as we can get it nearest to, is similar to the one that Smith Wigglesworth preached from, but there actually isn't anything in here that is from the original. Apart from, there's a chair there in the background, we believe that's an original chair. And so we have insulated the walls using dry lining and so on, and the electrics have been redone. And you'll see above here there is a temporary floor so we can get to the ceiling because it's very high up. We're talking about probably nearly 30 foot from floor to ceiling. We have some modern aspects to it with the screens, and eventually we'll have projectors, but we want to be sensitive to the fact that this building back in 1919 was very much like this. The sign you see above us that Smith Wigglesworth apparently painted on the back wall. It appears in the photo, there's an original photo from 1919, but it's hanging from this beam here. But apparently, no, it was on the back wall, and Smith Wigglesworth himself painted, "I am the Lord that healeth thee," and this is quoted from Exodus 15:26, I believe. And Smith Wigglesworth himself had a bit of a speech impediment, but he had dyslexia, he had a reading problem. His wife taught him to read, but his spelling was always wrong. But he would say, if someone complained that he spelled something wrong, he would say, "Well, did you understand what I meant?" And they would say, "Well, yeah." He said, "Well, I don't see where there's a problem." And so you see that the writing is quite bunched up, and it's not sort of like "I am the Lord" that's in the centre there. But we've tried to copy exactly what Smith Wigglesworth has done because we believe that is important to the restoration of this building, because it is what was, and we're trying to bring it back to what was back in 1919. This lectern that is here is not an original lectern. I bought this for about £20. It is actually quite old. It's about, I think, over 100 years old. And this is from my other church that I have, Keeping Chapel, which again is very old, but it's in keeping with the period of this building. This part of the building is a new extension, I think, that was built probably in the late 60s, early 70s.
But originally there would be windows above here, very much like the opposite side, and they were being blocked up. And this is plasterboard on tannalised battens, and there's insulation in there for the warmth. But this gives us this extension to the church. It goes beyond this wall that's at the back here, which is temporary for the moment, and there's a snooker table beyond that. Once that's moved, this section here will see approximately 100 people, and because we are already realising that there'll be a lot of interest, that we obviously need the space for the congregation and the visitors that will come. So if I just open these doors, you'll notice that the church hall originally went through, say, another 12 or so feet to the back wall, which will allow for this room to have around about 100 people in. And it was said that Smith Wigglesworth, in its high days, would have around about 50 people coming to the Lord every week, so we were told. Smith Wigglesworth's wife was sitting on the back wall there on a pew, and she encouraged her husband, who said in around about 1906, had received the baptism of the Holy Spirit in Sunderland, and she said, if you've got this Holy Spirit, as you say, then we will see. You preach this Sunday. Smith Wigglesworth was scared of preaching. He had a speech impediment and used to get a bit hot under the collar, but he said that he would. And as she was sitting on the back seat and he stepped forward about 3 places to the platform, he said, the Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me and he has anointed me to preach the good news. As he was saying that, Polly was moving from one side of the bench to the other, the pew, saying, that is not my Smith, that is not my Smith, because Smith couldn't do this. I'm not saying he couldn't speak at all or he couldn't pray for people, but she noticed there was a massive change in the way that Smith Wigglesworth conducted himself on the platform. So this wall here, although it has made the building shorter, and then we have a toilet block in there and a side entrance and a staircase, the extension that's over the other side makes up more than enough for further seating for the people that will be attending the church. We're on the mezzanine floor of Bowland Street, Bradford. There's part of the stud wall that was going on up the back here. There's quite a steep staircase up to this area, but it's a lovely addition and it's been done in keeping with the old building. We're going to hopefully use this as an office area, but we're open to ideas. We have had, when the building was very busy, we have a lot of chairs up here, and it can seat about another 30 odd people. But for the moment, it's just an out of bounds area where we're just using for storage. Here on the mezzanine floor, in the background you'll see a cross that was built by Trevor. The background is the stone background, which we've decided to leave exposed rather than put plasterboard over it. So I think it's a nice addition to the church. Obviously, some of it we're having to marry in with modern materials, but we're trying to be sensitive to the period that this building would have initially been used. The majority of the stuff that you see here, the shelving and the items, weren't in the building, apart from this teapot, which is from around the same time that Smith Wigglesworth had been using the building. If he had used this teapot, I do not know, but I've given a few of the items away to people that have come and helped and so on in the restoration. But these are all photographs and pictures from that period, and cups and saucers. And so, once again, just trying to be sensitive to the period that this building would have been used in. We are trying to collect certain items that would have been, say, from the 1910, 1930s. I don't believe that these were the original doors, but they might have been. They've been restored and painted, and so there's 2 double doors leading to the exit at the front of the church. This porch was added on. We intend to have maybe a heat curtain or 2 doors here to obviously try and contain the heat that's built up through the central heating when we have obtained it. This is the extension, I believe, which was built in the 70s, 80s certainly a modern extension to the original church of Smith Wigglesworth. We've plasterboarded the walls, dot and dab method and plaster. Here we have the matchboard that's going along with the dado rail, and wanted to be sympathetic. So we probably intend to carry this on the way through this extension, which I said earlier will seat around about 100 people. So it's a decent sized extension with light from above through the skylights there. There are various skylights and electrical work that I've been doing, which creates a nice light into the building. And we will have to have monitor TV so that people who are attending a Sunday morning service can see the words for worship up on the screen. It is a modern part of the building, so this wouldn't have existed at one time. This would probably have been a large yard at the back of the Bowland Street Mission. You'll see or notice the Volux windows, which obviously are a modern addition to the Bowland Street Mission. They were here before we obtained the building for its restoration. In many ways, I wish they weren't there, but in other ways, they do let a lot of natural light into the building, as well as warmth, obviously. And so, really, at the end of the day, it's an amalgamation of modern and old, and so therefore they're a nice addition in many ways. We're standing in the kitchen of Bowland Street, which is a part of the extension, so it wasn't the original part of the building. And you can see through the roof, it's in a poor state of repair. The landlord that originally had the building had repairs to the roof, and it seems as though they built the new roof directly over the old roof. And once we've exposed this in this area here, trying to work out how we can structurally strengthen it without taking the whole of the roof down, which would probably open up a whole can of worms. The kitchen will be used to feed the homeless, we're hoping, and we would like to invite them in initially 1 or 2 days a week, and we have showers in the toilet block, and so we're hoping to give them clean clothes from the charity shop after they've had a shower and a shave. And this kitchen will obviously be the engine room of the church and feeding the homeless people, the people that live out in shop doorways and so on, which is, rather than not me, there for the grace of God goes I. So yeah, as you can see, it's a big undertaking, but like the rest of the building, which was actually about the same state of repair, we've managed to get there in the end through donations and through volunteer work. The electrician has cut all the cables you can see here, and we're going to rewire it, and there'll be fire alarms and so on. There's a back door there which is fallen off its hinges. The frame is totally rotten, and so but we believe that we can have this probably up and running. We're at the beginning of November, so we're hoping to get this up and running at least by December time. We put an acro up here to hold the ceiling up, to pin it up. Once we've structurally strengthened it, we can let this down, and I believe it'll be strong enough to do what we need it to do. It's not. It looks worse than it actually is, but there is a definite bow there where the pressure of the new roof is putting pressure on the old roof. But it hadn't seemed to go any, hasn't dipped any further. But we want to obviously straighten it all out and make it decent again. This is the kitchen that, when it was a community hall back in 2002, I think they would have probably had obviously a gas or electric cooker in here. And so we've had some kitchen fitters come and look, and they said this is all quite good. There's a double sink there and washing facilities. And obviously once we've got lino and it's all been painted, we think it's, it's surplus to use. It's voluntary work that's been done here, and we've got a limited budget. At the same time, if we're feeding the homeless people and everything, we're doing it on a budget. But we believe that we can create a good meal on donations and so on. This was the original part of the Bowland Street Mission, and I believe that if the toilets were in this area, they would have probably been at the back through this metal grid, this security grid. Then the toilet might have been out there, but we intend to restore this and use this as the cafe
This is the alleyway to the side of Bowland Street, and this is the back entrance. Sadly, when Smith Wigglesworth was pastor of the church, didn't realise that one day, sadly, that heroin use would be used in this alleyway. We found needles and evidence of prostitution as well in this alleyway, but since we've been here, believe it or not, it's cleaned up a little. We're just trying to sort of like change the atmosphere of the area. We have an entrance just down the alleyway there. I'll take you to it. As I walk through the alleyway, part of this, the extension of the Bowland Street, is the yard. Smith Wigglesworth used to keep his donkey in this yard, which he used to bring the children to Sunday school on. So if you come forward, we'll have a look at the yard. So this is the yard where Smith Wigglesworth would have kept his donkey, which he would encourage children to Sunday school back there in 1890s to 1919. You'll notice the extension here in the back area where we use this as for an office, or other plans we have for that area. There's a flat roof, which is obviously the extension of the church that's connected to the Bowland Street mission. There's an orangery here to the side, which is in poor state of repair again, but hopefully within the next 6 months this area will have like a little cafe area, and that people can come out here and enjoy a coffee and a cake. You can see the building above the roof of, which is adjacent to the Bowland Street mission. It's obviously the roof is collapsing, and the owner obviously have just left that now, and I don't believe that they're using that part of the building, but the whole of this area is quite in need of an uplift, and I believe there's some funds that are going to be released to this area, but we wait and see.